Then there's also things like image management. Now you're taking energy to just, I got to make sure that I'm looking, looking a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And then you, as a 3 in this conflict, you're now switching from, you're going to productivity over vulnerability. So
Right.
now I'm not going to be real and exposed. I'm just going to work because I'm running from that fear. I can't fail. I can't be known as being worthless or something like that. But really what they're saying, what you as a 3 in the middle of this are really saying is, hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. Good to have you back here. Baby, you ready for this pod?
I'm ready for it.
Okay.
Let's go.
You know what we're talking about today?
I do know what we're talking about today.
We're talking about conflict. We're talking about a little bit of fighting. And
are you ready?
Oh, it's getting real. No. So we're talking about conflict today. But the way we're talking about it is, you know how we love personalities. We love...
I love the thought of this episode because it's so helpful. And I think it's going to be a useful tool. But it is conflict within personalities.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of personality tests out there in a lot of different ways. We personally have found that the Enneagram personality assessment is one that has really helped us personally. And so that's really good. And so we're going to take you along the journey of how each type really deals with conflict. But this particular episode is talking about a fear. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the Enneagram has, well, most people think that conflict and fights are like about, the thing that you're fighting about, sex, money,
the dishwasher,
100%, parenting, all of that stuff. But really, if you really dig deep, what you're really fighting about is actually a fear. Mm-hmm. And each of our personalities have a different fear according to this particular assessment. And it's one that we found to be very true in our own life. And so, which is why we bring it on the air, because we believe in it. It's very helpful. Again, the Enneagram and any personality test or assessment is never the Bible, right? It's never the Bible. It's just, if this is useful to you, this is a theory, and you just kind of use it. So we're going to talk about just the conflict and the actual, maybe the source of the conflict. Mm-hmm. Because if you're having a fight about who you're going to see at Christmas or why, all that, it likely isn't about that.
Right.
At the core, it's about really something different. And that's what I'm really excited about this particular episode.
Yeah. So one of the cool things that we've learned through doing like our marriage courses and trainings and Enneagram like certifications and all of that kind of stuff is this kind of like idea of like the dance, right? And so I just kind of want like our listeners to like imagine like a figure 8. That's going to be kind of like the representation of the dance. And so what usually happens is that, one couple is going one direction, or one person in the couple is going one direction, then the other one, they're just kind of like stepping on each other. It's kind of clumsy because everything is rooted at our core fears.
Correct.
And so it could look like, you're talking about money this week and, kids the next week, and you're constantly having these arguments. But like what you said, it's like, it's not about the argument. It's really about the core fear. So it's like, you're really talking about like rejection, like control, like feeling safe. Like, am I not being seen?
Totally.
Like being misunderstood. So there's so many underlying things that it's like usually triggered by the fears. Now, what happens in this dance is that there's kind of 3 unhealthy ways to dance. And one of them looks like you're both withdrawing.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So this is like silence, shutting down, emotional distance, avoiding. Like really no one's really like yelling at each other, but it's like there's just this deep conflict that's happening, but you kind of mask it by saying, oh, but it's okay because we never fight. And
yeah, because you're not talking.
right.
Yeah.
Because it's like that can sound kind of healthy. Like, oh, we just never fight. But it's like really, it's like you're both withdrawing and you're not fighting.
Yep.
So then another one that happens is that one attacks and then one person withdraws. So it's more like we need to talk.
Yeah.
And then it's like the other person is like, oh, I need to like escape or I need to go start cleaning. I need to like kind of start shutting down. So, one spouse is pushing while one is pulling away. One gets louder, one gets quieter. And the pursuer like keeps thinking that if I stop pushing, nothing's gonna get fixed. So that's why they keep on pursuing that.
I've been there before.
And then the withdrawer is thinking that if I stay here, this is going to get worse.
Oh wow.
And so that's us.
Yeah.
One pushes, one withdraws. That's how we typically operate.
Yeah.
But we both think that we're protecting the relationship, because I think that it's like if I stay here, I'm like, it's going to get worse. So then I just need to stop or shut down. And then you're like, no, we need to stay here and fix it so that it gets fixed.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But we're both kind of accidentally making it a little bit worse.
No.
Right? So then the third way is that both attack. So we have both withdrawing and one pushing, and then this is where both attack. This is where it gets a little spicy.
Yeah.
So no one's withdrawing, no one's pausing, and everyone, came armed with like their receipts, and like it looks like defensiveness, like interrupting, scorekeeping, and it,
always and never and
all the extremes.
Yeah.
So the goal with the two that are kind of like attacking, they're shifting away from resolution and into winning.
Yeah.
And so, no one ever wins when someone loses in marriage.
I saw this reel, and this guy was saying you never want to win an argument in marriage because you're always losing.
Yeah.
Because the point is you being together. So if you're charging to win, you're actually losing for you.
Right.
It's just crazy.
And so really what we want to just acknowledge that in this dance, what's happening is the core fears are getting triggered. So it's I'm not important. I'm being controlled. I'm failing. I'm unsafe. I'm like being rejected. So then they react. And then so spouse A is reacting to their core fear, and then spouse B is now reacting to their reaction.
Right. And then that's the beginning.
And then that's where the figure eight kind of comes into play, because you're not reacting off of the conflict. You're reacting by your core fear being triggered. And that's why we love the Enneagram and talking about how personalities play into this, because so many times we think that all conflict is the same because of how I feel about the conflict. So the way that I see the conflict is how everyone sees the conflict.
Of course, yeah.
Which is false.
Yeah.
Like there's many different filters to perceive a conflict.
Which is exactly why we're doing this.
Exactly.
Because it is so varied. It's amazing how even though, let's say, the subject matter that you are in conflict about, though there may be validity to why this is triggering you, but unless you know truly where you're coming from and the reason why you had because it's the initial reaction when your core fear is triggered is a default. It's just where you're at quickly. It's what comes up quickly because it's always defense. You're on defense right away. And once you begin to know and connect the feeling of what does it feel like when my core fear is triggered, it then helps you to manage how you communicate in a conflict, because you know actually what's really happening. Why am I, because we've done that before where your reaction to something sometimes goes overboard, your initial reaction, and it's like, what in the world is happening? Well, your core reality is being shaken right now, and we all have them, and they're all different. And that's why this is such a great topic to go through.
Yeah, what you're explaining is just having that self-awareness, but then what another added layer to this is also knowing your spouse's Enneagram type, so that it's like when you're responding in a defensive way, I now know how to communicate to your heart and to that core fear by saying, oh babe, like you're not bad. Like it's okay. Like because now what I've done is I've spoken straight to that need and that desire that isn't getting filled, instead of me responding and reacting off of your reaction.
Right.
So
that's the beauty
so
of
there's
this.
a couple different ways on how you can kind of correct and fix that dance, because it's like the goal isn't to stop the conflict. Like that's never the goal, because conflict's going to happen regardless. But the goal is to recognize it early enough so that it doesn't turn into that like, well, fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Right.
Like we're fine. Perfect. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Good. Let's go. Move on.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like we're not necessarily like shutting each other down. It's like we actually get to a resolution, because the conflict is going to be there. But if you can help like mitigate and push down the defensiveness of your core fear, then you're actually going to be able to talk rationally and get to the root of the conflict in the first place without our fears rising up. So as we're kind of going through all of these different types, there's 9 different types within the Enneagram. And as we're kind of diving into them, I just want our listeners to pay attention to, oh, that sounds like so-and-so, or that sounds like my spouse, or, oh, wow, I really feel that way when I get activated, because then you're going to be able to recognize and get closer to your type. We have a free assessment that you can take on our website, Imperfectly Married, the podcast.com. But did I say that right?
Yeah, no.
Well, then say it right.
Well, I would. Imperfectly Married podcast. No, what is it? What is our website? It's not the podcast.
Imperfectlymarried.com.
I think that's it.
Oh my gosh. We're going to put it in our show notes.
Wow. My goodness.
But we have a free assessment that's on our website, and that'll help you get close to your Enneagram type. But also, just while you're listening, just kind of pay attention to what you think you may be, or what your spouse may be, or what even your sister, your brother, your best friend.
I was going to say, I wanted to highlight that part again, because it's easy in something like this, and I've been guilty of it, especially when we were doing kind of study on the Enneagram, stuff like that. I'm only looking for myself. I'm like, oh yeah, because that's how you feel almost validated. It's like, oh yeah, I get that. And it kind of feels real. But as you mature into wanting to become, your kind of best self, when you start learning about the people around you, when you can start seeing, in the Enneagram, it's hard. Don't type somebody just by an external expression. That we're not advocating that. What we're saying though is, if especially your spouse, if your spouse is you kind of in their discussions, you hear what you're hearing here as we're talking about a type, and you're like, my husband or wife has sounded like that before. They've expressed feelings that are similar to this. That is what you want to look for, because then you're able to then communicate, like you were saying, communicate to them in a way that is really meaningful, as opposed to just saying words that are not landing anywhere.
Right. Just remember, there's so many different ways to speak to someone, and just because you see a situation one way doesn't mean it's the right way.
Yeah, no, that's the truth.
All right, so let's dive into type 1.
Okay, we are jumping in. So type 1, this is the type that called the reformer, and I am a type 1, and so this really resonates with me. And so again, a reminder, a core fear. We all actually have a core fear. And for the reformer, it's being wrong, bad, corrupt, or irresponsible. And that is, so your core fear is a thing that you never want to happen. So you're running away from that reality. That's kind of what happened. And so in conflict, here could be the trigger. It's when things feel careless, unfair, or out of order. That is where then the type 1 will be triggered to then start may be reacting like this. I may start correcting the situation or correcting you in the situation. I may be criticizing, why are you not doing this well?
Yeah.
Why is this not going well? Be very frustrated, right? In how, we're looking at the situation, but then also getting to the point of just having very rigid standards. It has to be like this because I don't ever want to get close to something not being right or good and me feeling like that's the case. And so now I'm structuring and looking through the lens of it has to be like this. If it's not like this, my fear is going to catch me and I can't let that happen. But what the one is really saying in the midst of all of this is if this isn't fixed, everything's falling apart. And we in our relationship, I'm a all or nothing. So I will throw it all away, and it's really coming from that place. Just it's my core fear being triggered, being activated, and you can especially know in conflict and in conversation where you're really coming from a place of defense and you're only defending the fear, but we're putting another subject on top of it, whatever that subject is. And then we're fighting for that, but we're really unknowingly fighting that core fear.
Right.
Now, there's also some growth in your marriage, in the marriage context. And it's learning this assurance for the one. You are loved even when things aren't perfect. And it's remembering that just because something isn't going how you think it should doesn't mean that you're not good or you're corrupted or something along those lines. So for a one, that's really good to be assured in that way.
It's really good for the spouse of a one to know that it's like you can always be reassuring them that you are loved even when things aren't perfect and that when they're not going the way that you think, and that it's like it doesn't mean that it's like you're bad. And so it's like you cannot reassure a one more like enough. You can just always keep on,
because it's the inner critic that is always
Yes.
going opposite of what. So the inner critic, the one yelling in my mind that's criticizing me that yes, you are going to be bad if you don't win this argument. If this doesn't go the way you think it should, you're going to get got.
You're going to get got. All right. So the type 2, they are the helper, and their core fear is being unwanted, unloved, or rejected. Those are huge for the type 2. So every conflict, it's like that's the filter that they're hearing the conflict from. So like a trigger for them could be feeling underappreciated or emotionally unseen. That's heavy for a type 2, because it's like they're so eager to be seen and to be helpful and to feel appreciated.
I think that one that you said, emotionally unseen, I think that's a big one where the two things, you should see what I'm feeling inside and you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Their conflict style, they can tend to go into over helping. They can feel emotional intensity, and their hidden resentment really comes out when their core fear is triggered. And then their phrase that they can often say is, "I do everything." And so that's kind of like how their core fear is going to be showing itself within conflict. But what they're really saying is, do I matter to you?
Wow.
And because they're always looking for that approval and affirmation that the things that I'm doing for you are they matter. And if those things matter, then I matter.
See, how crazy is it? If you're unaware and you have a 2 in your life and your 2 just starts over helping, in other words, they're always helping, you may think, oh, they just look how helpful they are. Wow, it's really good. But really, you're in the midst of them running from their core fear.
Yeah.
This isn't a good thing. Them over helping isn't a good thing right now.
Yeah.
That's just in unawareness. All this is happening around you, and it's absolutely crushing their personality.
Yeah. One area of growth for the type 2 is that they need to be asking for their needs directly, not through emotional detective work. So they just need to be like, hey, this is actually what I need, because what is so challenging for the type 2 is for them to actually even voice what they are needing in the moment. And a lot of the times they want people to do that emotional detective work in their own lives. So, or in their spouse's life, so that they can feel like, oh, you know me, you see me.
You see me.
But it's like, the reality is that it's like, we can't, we need a little bit of guidance. We need a little bit of help, because we want so badly to help you, but we can't read your mind. And so that's
twos, we need you to talk.
They just need to communicate.
And yes, you do everything. We understand. All right, threes. If you are a 3, you are an achiever. And what your core fear is going to be is feeling or being, this is your core fear, being worthless or failing or looking incompetent. If those things are familiar to you, like as I mention those, and you feel like, oh yeah, that's a big thing, you could very well be a 3. And where this would trigger, where the conflict would then trigger that core fear, would be feeling criticized, maybe feeling disrespected, or feeling like they're failing. That could be the trigger. And all of a sudden now you're triggered, and then you could be expressing yourself with a style of defensive-ness, or even like shutting emotions down, just being like, not gonna, I don't want to get hurt. I'm not gonna, just, being very neutral almost. Would you say like that? Like a emotions shutting down, is that just like off?
Well, it's more like there's so much stuff to get done that it's like they don't have time to,
like robot,
like they don't have time to be distracted by their own feelings and emotions, so they're just going to shut down, because it's like they've got things to do. Let's keep going. So it's like they don't even acknowledge it.
Then there's also things like image management. Now you're taking energy to just, I got to make sure that I'm looking a certain way. And then you, as a 3 in this conflict, you're now switching from, you're going to productivity over vulnerability.
Right.
So now I'm not going to be real and expose. I'm just going to work, because I'm running from that fear. I can't fail. I can't be known as being worthless or something like that. But really what they're saying, what you as a 3 in the middle of this are really saying is, if I fail here, I lose value. And that's a very, I mean, I would want to run away from that. You can really feel how heavy that would be.
Yeah.
Now, in your marriage, growth would look like this, because a 3 really needs to hear this. You are loved for who you are, not just what you do. And that would be something, if you're a spouse of a 3, if the things that you just heard about the 3 are something that you see in your spouse, wow, man, speaking over them in this way, you are loved for who you are, not just for what you do, may help them get distance from their core fear.
And I would add, not just what you do or achieve.
Oh, good.
Yeah. All right. So the type 4, the individualist, their core fear is being insignificant, emotionally abandoned, or deeply flawed. They feel things so intensely that those feelings are really intense too. So they can often feel triggered within conflict by feeling misunderstood. Dismissed is huge. They want to know that they're seen and heard. So being dismissed is like trigger right there. Or emotionally disconnected. So if you're creating an environment that makes them feel misunderstood, dismissed, or emotionally disconnected, you're triggering their core fear
and get
right
ready,
away.
And get ready for this.
Yes, because they are going to be emotionally intense. They're going to so they can either go one way or the other. It's like a pendulum. And it could happen all in one conversation. So they can be emotionally intense, or they can withdraw. They can also be really melancholy. And their phrase that they often could say is that you just don't get me. you just don't get me. And because it's like they're always constantly feeling as though they're misunderstood. But what they're really saying is, but do you see me? Like, are you hearing me? Do you understand me? And really, one of their biggest pieces for growth is that they need to understand that validation matters more than fixing. So I think that it's like once they realize that it's like just getting that affirmation and that validation, it's
like how you're feeling is valid.
Yes.
Where I'm acknowledging and validating how you're feeling.
And you don't even actually need to fix it.
Yeah.
You just need to validate it. And it's like, I think that that's so helpful, but it's also helpful for that type 4 to understand that people's natural default is also to fix. And what you could do in courage is say, I actually just need validation for my feelings. I don't need you to fix it.
That's a big deal.
And so it's like it's a two-way street, right? Like the spouse could validate the feelings without fixing it, but then also the type 4 could have a boost of courage and take responsibility and be able to voice those things.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Type 5, you are the investigator, and if you are, your core fear is going to be being overwhelmed, being incapable, or being depleted. That's the big one that the 5 hangs on, is being depleted, right? They really want to. They have their source of energy, and they just don't want to give it up, and so they're always concerned about that. And as a type 5, you could be triggered. Your core fear would be triggered with too much emotional demand or feeling invaded. And so if that is the environment that you're in, or that's what's happening, immediately your fear is going to rise up, and you could start reacting by withdrawing or shutting, like completely shutting down, or being detached or silence. It's really about separating. You're not wanting, you're stopping every output, right? Because I'm stopping it because I can't be depleted. I can't be depleted. But what the 5 is actually saying is, I don't have enough energy for this. Now, whether that's true or not, we don't know. But that's what they feel in that moment.
Yeah.
Is I don't have enough. I don't have enough for this. And one of the growth areas for a 5, especially in marriage, is the understanding that space, to understand this about a 5, right, is that space is not rejection. Like for a 5 space is very helpful. It gives it's I'm not wanting to be with you.
Right.
I need space to kind of recharge. But that's not period, end of sentence. Space is good, and it's not rejection, but the silence needs to be explained. So the silence needs an explanation.
That's their responsibility.
Why are you separating? Why are we doing this? The growth area for the 5 is to come and explain it's because of this, and this, or whatever the case. So what I love about this growth is, no, you're good. You're fine. You're fine to take the thing that you need. That's good. The growth is talk about and explain why it is that you want to do that.
Yeah, it's good. Type 6 is the loyalist. So their core fear is being unsafe, unsupported, abandoned, or blamed. Those are really heavy, and those are going to be the triggers. And so it's going to come out with like uncertainty, inconsistency, and a lack of reassurance. So if they aren't feeling those things, then this is where it's like those things are going to be activated. And really how that's going to show up is it's going to be questioning a lot, and it could be almost kind of like accusing, maybe in a sense. They're going to come up with a lot of worst case scenarios and defensiveness, but then they're also at the core of it, they're going to be testing that loyalty. Because
they're big on loyalty.
Yes, because what they're really saying is, can I trust this relationship?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to leave me? Are you going to abandon me? Like their core fear, it's being unsafe, unsupported, abandoned, or blamed.
Yeah.
So can I trust this relationship? Because if I can't, then all of those things are going to happen. It's like for a 6, it's like it is going to happen.
Yeah, it's right behind me. It's coming.
Right.
They're going to get me.
Because they have that inner committee that's berating them and giving them all different possible situations and scenarios. So really for like the growth point for the type 6, this is more for like the spouse.
Yeah.
Consistency is romance for the 6.
Wow. Spouses of a 6, pay attention.
So you don't actually have to wine and dine them. You just have to be consistent.
Just be consistent. Wow.
So like, yeah, obviously, I mean, they would love flowers.
Sure.
Like, that's great.
Hey, consistently getting flowers. Hey, winning.
Yeah, if you're going to start it, don't stop it.
Stop. Don't abandon them.
Because then they'll feel like there's a reason.
Yeah.
So really, it's like just be consistent and just stay on task if you're married to a 6.
Come on,
or
6s.
at least vocalize and communicate why that consistency is dropping.
Be consistent. Okay, type 7s, the enthusiast. This is my beautiful wife. Her core fear, I can agree with all this, being trapped, deprived, in pain, or missing out.
Yeah.
FOMO.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
Interesting that's a core fear. That's a real thing that drives.
Oh, I'm pretty sure whoever came up with FOMO, fear of missing out,
7.
was a 7.
Full on 7.
Yeah.
So if you are a 7 and you are in the midst of conflict, heavy emotional conversations, or feeling emotionally cornered is going to be the thing that's going to trigger your core fear, which is interesting. Both of those things I'm good at.
Yeah.
So sorry, babe.
Really glad those were in your notes.
I know. I'm like, wow, those are definitely mine. So I'm good at those things, but
he's good at triggering me. Is what he's saying.
Yes, exactly right. And so for a 7, how it's going to come out is by avoiding, by joking, reframing.
I don't do any
of those, and escaping hard conversations. And I can attest to all of those things. This is literally why we love the Enneagram, because it fits. And we don't make ourselves fit the description, because there's some things and some numbers that are like, or some types where it's like, I can kind of see it, but not really. And so that's what I love about this. But what you're saying in the midst of all of that in conflict is, if I stay here, I'll drown. Like,
yeah.
Oh my goodness. I love the Enneagram. Anyway, so growth, if you have a spouse of a 7, is joy grows deeper when discomfort is faced, not avoided. Now that's encouragement for the 7, because the 7 doesn't want to deal with any of that heaviness. They'd rather reframe it as like, oh, it's not really that bad, kind of whatever. Well, the encouragement is actually getting into that discomfort is actually where joy can actually grow, because something beautiful can come out of it.
Yeah. Just dive in and go deep, get it over with, and then move on to something fun.
Yeah. Which is a great strategy.
No, it
100%.
is. Not lying, I've used it.
Yeah.
All right. So the type 8, the challenger, their core fear is being weak, controlled, betrayed, or being vulnerable.
Yep. Big one.
And so honestly, like their triggers are going to be when they're feeling manipulated, dismissed, or if they ever feel powerless. That's when their fear is just instantly activated. And so the way that it's going to show itself is like really through intensity. They are hot-headed.
Yes. Like, and just really, I mean, aggressive.
Yes.
Aggressive.
Also confrontation, dominance, and fast reactions. So they're usually pretty quick thinking too. And so it's like they can have like, they can feel very convincing and kind of like almost the backing you into a corner kind of situation. But what they're really saying in the conflict is I'll protect myself before you hurt me. So that's really why they're doing all of that. But really their growth point is really showing their vulnerability. Like vulnerability is such a strength for a type 8 that's not weakness. And so type 8s fear betrayal and often think I'll control them before they control me. So
they're always proactive when it comes to avoiding or that core fear.
Yes.
They act proactively. Very much so.
They're usually like 5 steps ahead.
Yep.
And so, which in health makes them super powerful because they are always thinking way ahead.
Just charging
and
through.
Just they're go-getters.
Yep.
But it's different than the achiever, which is the type 3. The achiever is all about their like achievements and getting the prize. For the type 8, it's really about paving a way and really kind of going after the things and, it's more justice motivated. So it's very right and wrong and black and white.
So type 9s, our last type, you are the peacemaker, and your core fear is going to be conflict. Interesting. We're talking about conflict and fighting. Core fear is conflict, disconnection, tension, or being overlooked. And so if you're in a situation where relational tension and emotional disruption are there, your core fear is now activated. And so now you're running from that, and you could do it in situations or in these kind of ways by avoidance. You could shut down. You could have passive resistance, or the I'm fine. I'm fine. Which an 8 is very defensive for an 8 because they just want to stay in the middle, and that's where they're going to be. That they think they can get away with it with just the I'm fine. But actually, what they're saying is, if conflict, what they're saying and thinking is, if conflict happens, connection could be lost, and that is their fear. They can't lose connection because they'll feel lost after that. And so the growth that can happen in a marriage relationship is peacekeeping is not peace building, right?
Yeah, say that again because that's really good.
Yeah, peacekeeping is not peace building. There's even a biblical concept there that is a really big deal. Like I can be peaceful, but that I don't have to be the peace. I don't have to build kind of that whole thing. So, and then a 9, what a spouse can really be encouraging in the 9 is making sure that they know that their presence matters, is making it voiced and known. That is a huge thing for a 9.
I just want to touch on going back to the dance. I would have to say that most of the time, I would say a 9 is the one that retreats and like kind of pulls away from conflict. But I will say that what is it called? It's it's when something is not normal for it's like suppressed. So the type 9 has like suppressed anger because they're always pushing down their true emotions. So I will have to say that I would say 9 times out of 10, the 9 is going to be the silencer and like the one that retreats and finds something within the dance of conflict. But I will say that if they are activated and if they've been suppressing their anger for too long, they could become the aggressor and they could have a huge burst of anger within conflict.
True.
And so that is just one thing that we don't necessarily talk a lot about with the 9s because the 9s are usually the peacemaker and the quiet ones. But I will say that it's like they are actually in the anger triad. So they can be very angry because they're constantly dying down what they actually think and feel to keep the peace.
Absolutely.
So, so that's our 9 types. And so that's really like, honestly, I feel like there were so many great tools. And as we were talking about a lot of them, I'm thinking, oh, that's so good for so-and-so. And even just in the way that I communicate with them.
Same.
And so we have a couple like reflection questions that we're going to end up putting on our blog because I just feel like it's like, especially conflict, there's so much more to be expanded upon. And if you're kind of sitting here going, oh, wow, like I felt like that was really good for so-and-so, like share with them this episode, but then also go to our blog and print out the questions and start having these kinds of conversations with your spouse, because it's only going to help you in conflict in the future.
Absolutely. And also remember that conflict is not proof that your marriage is broken. Actually, it
Good
shows,
thing.
it shows that your marriage is working, right?
Yeah.
It's not, it's often proof that something important is asking to be understood. So that's kind of where conflict is, hey, there's something out there that we really kind of need to talk about. So the goal isn't less conflict. The goal is better conflict, right?
Yep.
And so using your type and the strengths and weaknesses, understanding your fears and communicating in such a way that is supporting each other's personality and where you're coming from will make your conflict actually become good, in the sense to where you're actually talking to each other instead of at each other, and really getting to the place of having healthy conversation as opposed just to the alternative. And so
it breaks that dance of that figure eight. It's like dancing's good, but it's like we don't want to keep in that figure eight habit of that conflict. We want to break it. And we want to silence it before it becomes like destructive.
Yeah, because if you're gonna fight for understanding, not fighting each other. Because when
we're fighting to win.
No, exactly. So fight for understanding of each other. That's when everything can change in your marriage, because now you're knowing each other and you're really speaking to the core things of your life. And so, because the reality is, your spouse isn't your enemy.
No.
And they only want what's best for you. Sometimes it's just hard when that fear is activated. And we get blinded because we see through one filter, and the filter is the fear is going to get me.
Yeah.
And it's going to come true. So, well, we hope that this episode did something for you, that connected you with it, just like Honey explained. Send it along to the people. If you feel like this is, you heard something in there that was good, send it along. So
and keep communicating. Like, conflict isn't bad. It's not the enemy.
Correct.
It's how we conflict and how we resolve that conflict. And so really trying to remain curious, get on each other's page, try to see conflict through other people's lenses is always going to create a safe environment to have conflict well. Yeah. And so again, like all of our stuff, subscribe to all of our stuff, like thumbs up it, friend it, do it, share
subscribe it, do it.
Do all the things.
Yeah, do all the things. Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.